Hi everybody, Dan Illman, Mike Beer, kicking off the late pick 5 on Pegasus World Cup Day with the Grade 3 La Prevoyante. We're going 1.5 miles on the turf, 3 turns over the Gulfstream Park turf course. Again, carded as race number 8. You can bet this fantastic card and the late pick 5 with DRF Bet. Sign up at bets.drf.com, deposit $50, and immediately bet with $200. Here's the field for the La Prevoyante. Again, fillies and mares going 1.5 miles. Mike, let's begin down towards the inside with Holy Helena, winner of the prestigious Queen's Plate in 2017, just as good on the turf, coming off a runner-up effort in the Via Borghese last time out at Gulfstream Park. She was down inside, and I thought the trip was working out. Tyler Gaffalione wanted to angle out, though, in the stretch, and the winner, CKS Buena, made sure that Holy Helena wasn't getting out until mid-stretch, and you can make the argument that at that point, CKS Buena had all the momentum.
Yeah, definitely got the jump on her, that's for sure. I'm not sure that I thought it was a huge excuse for this horse, but she certainly did get held up at a crucial moment in the race, and maybe that was just enough to cost her that neck decision. It was, if nothing else, Dan, to me anyway, it was nice to see her get back to one of her better races, because to me, her form had sort of tailed off at the end of last year. I wasn't thrilled with the way she was running. She got back on form last time. She got a good trip overall. She can get another good trip overall in this race. I think it's pretty clear that her best race makes her a big contender.
The horse that downed her last time out, CKS Buena, I thought that was a really nice ride by Landeros, tracking outside of Holy Helena throughout, realizing that if he moved at that juncture at the quarter pole 3 wide, he was going to lock Holy Helena in for a little while, and that might have made all the difference. I think you can make the argument that last time was the time for CKS Buena, and I think there has to be at least some concern about the distance, although she did run well in the Long Island 2 starts back at a giant price.
I mean, I agree with all that. I think last time probably was the time, and she got the absolute perfect trip and ride to get it done at a square price. Her Long Island was a good performance. It was also the kind of race, though, that set up really well for where she was. I mean, that pace really picked up around the final turn in that race. She was last at that point, and she was running at the end, but that race set up very well for that running style. But if nothing else, listen, she showed versatility last time, closer to the pace, so it feels like they can do anything with her. I think she's a contender right back.
Santa Monica might be the horse to beat for Chad Brown. Just throw out her last race, the Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Turf, where she was simply overmatched that afternoon. 1.5 miles is a very good distance for her, and she is already a graded stakes winner. She may not be the most reliable sort in the world, Mike. Beaten favorite in the E.P. Taylor, Glens Falls, and Sheepshead Bay. I always like to take a shot against Santa Monica, but wouldn't be surprised at all if she wins. I guess her E.P. Taylor, on the face value, just looked like sort of an even ground-saving performance, but she got beat by a couple of nice Euros.
Yeah, she did. A couple of horses who were pretty good. We look good in this field, too. I don't want to be too hard on her for that race, and I'm with you, just throwing out the Breeders' Cup. I'm not a huge fan of hers. I have no interest in betting her to win in this race at a relatively short price, but it's really hard to leave her out of multi-race wages. I mean, she's clearly a major contender. Timeform
US has Semper Sententiae out there on the early lead as we take a look at the pace projector. And Timeform US believes that the pace might be fast at this 1.5 mile distance. Semper Sententiae is still eligible for a non-winners of 2 life. She is very lightly raced for trainer Mark Henning. I think there's a chance for a really good 4-year-old season for her, but I do wonder about her ability stretching out to 1.5 miles and stepping up in class against older horses in a pretty tough field.
Yeah, I think this is a tough field, too, because I'm with you. I think she has some real upside. She's run really well in all of her turf races, and I think that includes the Tropical Park Oaks last time. I mean, they kept her right up close to the pace. It was a race that got wired by Too Charming, but she never gave up trying in that race. I thought she actually ran well. She's been 1.25 miles a couple times with success. So we'll see about this distance for her, but she can go long. I don't know if this is the spot, Dan, but she's a horse to keep an eye on.
And she might have the most upside of the 3 horses expected to be part of the pace after the first half mile. The number 10 Rahway's most recent win came on dirt in an off-the-turf race. This horse really didn't do any running at 61-1 in the Tropical Park Oaks last time out. I respect Michael Maker immensely, but it's hard to recommend her off her recent turf form.
Yeah, I don't see how you could like this horse. I mean, I know it's Maker, and when he stretches horses out, you always want to take notice, but this horse, she just hasn't shown that she can go with horses like this. I think she's in way too tough here.
The other speed horse is Ikimasho on the far outside, the number 12, who was able to become graded stakes place at this distance on turf in her North American debut. And then Roger Attfield decided to run her exclusively on the synthetic surface at Woodbine, where she ran fine without being any kind of a world beater. Maybe getting back to the turf is okay, but drawing outside these two speeds, she's going to have to work out a trip.
Yeah, it's interesting. She got a very tough post for the way this race is going to be run. And it's not like her form since she's gotten over here makes her a big contender in this race. It's interesting they just spent so much time concentrating on synthetic with her. It's almost like they don't even want to run her on turf anymore. But she can get a distance of ground, and she'll be a big price. A.A.
Azula's Arch is a turf maiden, but she's also graded stakes placed on the surface. She was placed in a very difficult spot last time out. The grade 3 valedictory against older males. Remember, she was a 3-year-old filly at the time, expected to go 14 furlongs, and she just couldn't go with those hard hitters like Pumpkin Rumble and Melmich. Her prior race on synthetic was okay. I do wonder if that's her surface, though.
Yeah, I wonder about that too. Her turf form, they haven't tried it that often. It seems like maybe she's a little better on synthetic, but I don't know. She's lightly raced enough that you don't want to be too hard on her for it. Her win two back, thought it was a pretty good effort. I thought she got an absolute perfect trip in there, but she fought pretty gamely. I mean, they got down to mid-stretch in that race, and it looked like maybe she was going to be third. The whole pack was closing in on her, but she managed to dig in and hold on. I was pretty impressed.
Mike, I think English Affair is a major player in this race for Javier Castellano. Rusty Arnold, 8-1 on the morning line. I could argue that she was best in the Dowager at 1.5 miles, 2 starts back. Brian Hernandez Jr. tried to get out on the final turn. It didn't work out. Instead, she tried to shoot up the rail, and she steadied and checked very hard late in the game. I think she was best that day, and she came back in the Cardinal Handicap, and she was in a bit tight at the quarter pole, and then a hole opened up, and she shot on through. Rusty's gotten her real good.
Yeah, she really has gotten good. She just seems like she keeps improving with every race. And I'm with you. The 1.5 mile race two back, I think she was probably best in there. She just got really unlucky. Now listen, if she won that race, she was going to win it with a perfect trip. But still, it showed that she could get the 1.5 miles, and she was just way the best last time. I mean, she had a little trouble getting clear in that race even, but once she did, she closed it down. I think she's really headed the right way. I think she's a big contender again.
Tricky Escape is so underrated, and she just fires each and every time. And now she's with John Service, who's winning everything in sight. She's coming out of another good effort in the Long Island, going 1 3/8 miles. I thought she was able to save ground early. Dylan Davis took her off the rail on the backstretch and into the far turn, and she was just second best to a really impressive lightly raced horse named Lady Panane on her best day. Tricky Escape has the tactical speed to work out a second flight trip.
Yeah, I agree with all that. I mean, we'll see about the 1.5 miles. I don't see why it would be a problem for her. She can go long on the turf. She's never been this long, but I think she can get this far. When I look at the Long Island, I thought she ran an excellent race there. You're right that the winner was a very impressive horse for Chad Brown, but this horse is the one who set that race up for the closer. She went first, she attacked the pace, and she did it relatively early on, and she just got closed on at the end. I thought she ran great last time. I mean, I should have put her on top in this race, Dan, but she's definitely a horse I'm using in this race.
Bo Bell is a maiden for Tom Albertrani. She has a pedigree to go long. I think that's probably why she's in this race.
Right, that's true. Her turf form is not bad, but it doesn't class up with some of the horses she's meeting here.
Let's take a look at our top picks in this race. We respect the favorites. We are going to try to go with a little bit of a price and a spread leg probably to kick off the pick 5. Let's talk a little bit about Lamont Degree. This is her distance. She just seems like a grinding type. When you run her at those middle distances, she just gets outpaced at kind of an important part of the race, and I don't think she's able to finish with those horses. Stretch her back out to 1.5 miles as we saw 2 starts back. She's okay. What did you think of her trip last time out in the Cardinal? We talked about English Affair kind of splitting horses and getting the hole. Lamont Degree was outside on the turn.
Yeah, I didn't like the trip that she got last time at all. I mean, he just had her 3-4 wide throughout the race in there. Never saved any ground at all. She still got into contention before she got out finished late. I'm not going to be too hard on her for that race. I thought she ran great 2 starts back at this distance. A race where she lost a little position through that second turn. That was easily a race she could have lost. But it just felt like she was seeing out the distance just better than everybody else. And maybe that will be the case on Saturday, because it's pretty clear that she's going to have to run her very best race to beat this field. But I wonder if she can do it at a price.
I think Top Cats the 11 has a chance here at a price. Last time out, there were some things going against her. It was her first start in the country, first start off a 4-month layoff against horses like Holy Helena and Sequoias Buena, who had a lot more recency. Top Cats went to the lead. I think a lot of folks thought that she was going to quit turning into the stretch, but she kept on till mid-stretch before tiring. I think she benefits from that race. I'm hoping she doesn't need the lead. I think she can be close under Julien Leparoux. She's a big price. Maybe a win might be out of reach, but she's a horse that I could see at least underneath trying to pick up some pieces.
Yeah, I can see that too. We'll see if I thought she ran well last time. I mean, the pace wasn't that fast in there, and she was able to control it. But boy, did she fight gamely in the stretch. She probably won't make the lead in this race, Dan. But as you say, she probably doesn't need it.
Lamont agrees your top pick. Who else would you use in the pick? You can go so many different ways.
I mean, I got to use Chad's horse, who just, is so reliable, even though I don't love her. I'm using Tricky Escape. I'm using Rusty Arnold's other horse as well. I think that horse has a big chance.
Matt Bernier and I will have a pick 5 video a little bit later this week. As for the La Prevoyante, I'll take Top Cats on top. I'll go 11-7-1-3, but I do want to use a lot of English Affair in the pick 5 as well. Again, you can bet this super card on Saturday with DRF Bets. Deposit 50, bet with 200. Bets.drf.com is where you need to go for all the details. Approximate post time for race 8 at Gulfstream on Pegasus World Cup Saturday, 3 o'clock Eastern. Good luck.